Learning names is an incredible tool for many things, including becoming popular at school. It shows consideration and makes a huge impact in your interaction with others. It can also be easy if you can remember one key thing, which is to remember. I have used these techniques in my personal life as well as in business. In fact, when I learned the techniques and practiced them well, I once made a challenge with myself to learn everyone's name in a new company that I started working for, and I did it with everyone I met. The only problem at the time was that I knew their name, but they did not know mine, and I have tips on how to handle that later in the lesson. What I will share with you in this, and the next topic, are memorization techniques in general, and then I will move on particularly to names. I will have follow-up lessons on the larger subject of memorization and how to deal with different types of information. All will apply to your schoolwork, book reading, and general knowledge. I graduated college using these techniques, and I rarely studied, not advice by the way. The technique I will explain will be referred to as silly glue, a term I made up. Think of silly glue as a temporary glue to stick things to the brain. It is actually based on science in that it works off the way your brain works biologically. The technical term is mnemonic. The characteristics of the techniques are as follows. Number 1. It involves visualization. Number 2. It involves action. Number 3. It involves your senses. Number 4. It involves concreteness, meaning you need to avoid abstract concepts. It needs to involve things you can see, touch, and that have unique characteristics. The above concepts happen in your head, but external stimuli are always helpful. Number 5. The last point, and most importantly, it involves absurdity. The more ridiculous your thought process, the stronger the learning impact. For this topic, I will use an example of a mnemonic to help you remember the previous list reimagined as follows. Number 1. Use visualization. Number 2. Use action. Number 3. Use your senses. Holy. Number 4. Visualize unique and concrete things. The mnemonic is VASHUK. Or V. A. S. H. U. C. VASHUK. Notice the underlined letters in the list. This is an old-style mnemonic, an acronym, to help you with new-style thinking. Here is an infographic to help. So how does this work? I'll give an example as related to names. Let's say you meet a new friend and his name is Bob. Let's say this is a picture of Bob. This is a fake AI-generated photo, by the way. The first step in remembering Bob's name is to focus on the name. Make sure you get the name correctly and repeat it back to him. You said your name was Bob, correct? Say it in your head over and over. I always miss this step often, and I usually have to ask them to say their name again. I am sorry, you mentioned your name and it went right over me. What was your name again? Don't be afraid to forget and repeat the ask. I do it all the time, sometimes having to ask for the name 5 or 6 times, and that's okay. That alone immediately shows the other person that you are truly making a big effort to remember. I sometimes follow up the ask with something like, "Hi, my name is Tony, by the way." That helps them remember yours, and chances are, 9 times out of 10, they did not remember anyway. Next step is to look for something about Bob that stands out and is easy to remember, like Bob's big blue eyes, blondish red hair, or his freckles. Lastly, connect the two things using VASHUK. Do not fall trapped to using word association. The better technique is to create a story in your head with an absurd visualization with action and your senses, using concrete props or characters, like in a video game. The key is to play it in your head, imagining it as if it is truly happening. As an example, Bob's blue eyes pop out like he has supervision and spots a bobcat rushing towards him. With Bob's supervision and agility, he ducks, but the bobcat catches a snippet of his red hair, and a few freckles falls off his face. The bobcat lands in a lake, and you can watch him as his head bobs up and down out of the water, roaring in a whimper as he missed his target. Notice how I used several variations of the word Bob. This can be an important twist to really hammer the name down mentally. Otherwise, the next time you see Bob, you may think lion or cat. It is good practice to really make the name stick with characteristics that stand out. I personally would not know the difference between a bobcat and other variations of wild American cats like a cougar or jaguar. No, I want you to look at Bob, close your eyes, and imagine the story just as I told it to you. I will pause. So now you know the technique. Next I will walk you through steps to help you remember to apply the technique. The biggest challenge for me is when I meet a group of people all at once. If I'm practicing the technique on a regular basis, it is easy to apply. Do that often. Unfortunately, in the heat of the moment, it is very easy to miss the name in the beginning, forget to remember the name, or get caught up in conversation and not get an opportunity to apply the technique mentally. There is nothing wrong with carrying a pocket notepad, plugging names into your phone at the nearest opportunity, or asking for a business card. Other roadblocks that can get in the way are simply thinking that you will never run into this person again or getting flustered with too many names to remember and giving up. Here is an important tip to share with you. If you learn to apply the technique, let it do the work for you. Once you apply it with all cylinders using Vashik, you are done. It will be sealed in your mind, and you can stop stressing about whether or not you remember. Do not fall back on outdated thinking that remembering names is hard. Do not try hard to remember because it is not hard, but you have to practice. If you forget the name, ask for it again and apply again. I had a friend in school that confused me with another person and called me by the wrong name for months, even when I reminded him. I never thought twice of it and still appreciated the fact that he spoke to me and made the attempt. I have learned to not be embarrassed about forgetting, because I found that I was not alone, and chances are that the other person did not remember my name either. I broke the ice for them by apologizing and asking again, and they appreciate that. Spare them the embarrassment and be the first to admit. Also, do not feel slighted if they do not remember your name ever. Say their name or ask for their name regardless of their effort. And lastly, as I touched on in the saying hi to everyone video, continue to say hi using their name even if they do not return the favor, and do it with confidence. Lastly, I've included a link to a spreadsheet to help you come up with mnemonics for just about every name possible. Please feel free to download and reference. Put it on your phone as a guide and have fun with it. Now, who is this guy again?